¿cómo se llama? Sí, pero porlas. Porlas. Vamos a poner eso para sacar.
Download.
Esta sí ya, la 2 y la 3.
As a small business owner, we know you can't just sit back and wait for your page to fall. You've got to get in front of them. That's why TikTok is about to be your new best friend. Refine Beauty knows exactly what we're talking about. Refine is a successful beauty brand that's all about being real and breaking boundaries. They wanted to create some buzz around the launch of their 2021 Black Friday campaign. Here's how they use TikTok ads to help. For businesses like Refine that are already creating TikTok videos, Spark ads are a simple way to turn high-performing organic content into paid ads that can reach more people. You can also customize who you want to reach with TikTok's one-of-a-kind targeting technology.
¿No tienes algo de crédito?
Campaign uses TikTok's lookalike and custom audiences technology
¿No así se te
to
ibas a
target
jugar
new
eso?
customers, while retargeting users who had previously engaged with their videos. Refine Beauty completely crushed their Black Friday goals. They reached millions of users, brought their following up to 22,000, and saw 3 times the return on advertising spend. And they're not the only ones. Party Machines and Be Joyful both struggled to keep the lights on during the early days of COVID-19, until TikTok gave their businesses a much-needed boost. Party Machines, the go-to place to buy a phone vendor, made videos of people playing with phone clouds. One of them reached 6 million people, prompting a spike in their following. And more traffic led to more sales. They were hooked and continue to make 2 to 5 TikToks a day for the next 2 years. Today, they have more than 1 million followers, and they've scaled their business by 300% year over year. Be Joyful is a zero-waste shop and refillery that quickly shifted to selling online when COVID hit, and TikTok was an important part of keeping the shop afloat. By posting consistently and using trending sounds, Be Joyful was able to grow their following to more than 60,000. Today, Be Joyful has 3 brick-and-mortar locations and an online store, and TikTok is a vital part of keeping them busy. Get more customer love for your small business just like these businesses did. Create your very own TikTok business account today and get everything you need to make show-stopping TikTok videos and promote them as paid ads. Join the fun. Click the link to get started.
Bola, I'm just about ready to get on the way. If you're not familiar with the game of 9-ball, I know we often attract new fans for these big days. This is how it all starts with the lag. You send it to the far cushion, whoever brings it back closest to the near cushion wins. And that is probably, JJ, the greatest lag I have ever seen.
Well, the one that lost wasn't bad itself, right?
Well, that's what I mean, the combination of the 2 of them together. I've never seen like that.
Yeah, that tells us anything about what we're going to get to see here the next hour and a half, 2 hours. Don't turn the channel.
He started his match for the golden break last night, but now he thought about it for a while. But this is set up nicely.
8 Ganadas.
Yeah, last night. Michael said a golden break to start, but of course you always take that, put one on your side, but in a break like this with an easy opener and a lot of balls you can start to get the shoot at and get the arm going under pressure, it's almost worth as much as that golden break. We'll go 2 cushions here. Decide that we're going to play the red league in the center corner. 42.
Yeah, breaking run sends a message to your opponent. Look at how well I'm playing. Golden break doesn't do that. It's basically down to good fortune when the 9 falls in.
Yeah, and you heard in the interview, and I think 5 breaking runs last night was as much as we've had in this tournament. Of course, you're trying to win this match, but you're trying to also set the tone for the entire day with yourself, basically. Just like we saw with Kobe, he never really getting settled. These guys definitely want to settle in. Now he'll want to land kind of straight on the brown here in a couple shots. That way he'll take the 8 from the other corner. The 8 doesn't pass by the 9, but it looks to be a little snug. This tells me the 8 has more room than I thought. Didn't really question it at all.
We talked about setting the tone there, Jay. Well, the Golden Break did set the tone last night. All went on from there to lead 6-0. Ocean opened his account in the 7th rack. A chaotic 8th. Went the way of Gorst, and from there he was dominant. 2 breaking runs in the last 3 racks. 5 in total in the match, as you say. A 10-1 win. There's a little bit of figuring out to go. Not a solid combination, but he's got it. And Ferry Gorst leads Jason Shaw 1-0. As I was saying, Gorst hadn't made much impact on the World Masters before this year, but really it was a bit stop-start for him. First played it in 2019, did win his opening match against Naoki Oi. But then it was a 24-player field, so that only got him into the last 16, where he lost to Skylar Woodward. The following year, the tournament wasn't played because of COVID. He did play the next year, but only won 1 rack. Lost his first match, Shane Van Bowling. Hasn't played it since, until this year.
Yeah, we talked about it in the opening that the difference anyways was the break. That's the big advantage, I think, if you're going to make it a big advantage. And it's still not huge. Of course, Jason can break the balls really well. But Jason, like a lot of players, really struggles early. If he's going to struggle with the break, it's going to be early, where you saw here with Federer Horse right on point to start.
Yeah, sure, not always the fastest starter of matches. We talk so much about that wonderful Hawaii Open when he had back in October. But what we perhaps don't mention that often is he started the final looking completely out of sorts against Alpine Ocean.
Yeah, I think he was down 5-0.
2, Beto goes to break, leading 1 round to 0.
There was a combination that Alvin played after a missed kiss shot on the 9 by Jason, and Alvin a little unluckily scratched after making the combination on the 9. That really got Jason going. Watch out, cue ball.
Foul shot.
He's made 2 on the break, and really look at the blue too. It was wide open, so kind of feel like he may have put another break and run together without that kiss on the white rock.
If the break was something that you could find a way of controlling, it would be a very different game, wouldn't it? But it just shows no matter how well you're playing and no matter how much rhythm you might have, never legislate for that happening. Momentum suddenly gets halted. Sure, let's say, far more
¿Cómo
likely
la
than
salís
not,
intercalada
it's swiftly
o
happening.
que gana sale? Depende de todo.
And I think, Shaw, who's had a great match in his opener.
Esto no es necesario mandarlo, ¿no? Sí.
Last night, which I don't think it does favors for.
Como está visto ahí. Ya, ya.
As he
Está
focused
difícil
matches,
ya.
he struggled. I think the day match here,
Si
of
requieres.
course, both this in the finals during the day, but I
Si
think
no
that's going to
hubiera
help
jugado, no
Jason.
estás apuntando.
Probably a little draw stroke here on the round 7. Could cheat the pocket and go around, but no reason to.
Well, this looked inevitable, didn't it? Once Gorst scratched, gave up ball in hand. Very
semi-finals and play back-to-back. So Phil will come off and have a few hours and rest and all the rest of it. These guys still have a long match ahead of them. So you could look at it one of two ways, couldn't you? You could say that Phil's got the rest, but also you could say that if there's not much gap between the end of this match and the final, then whoever wins it is going in, played in, and can carry forward that momentum. I guess it just depends on the player, really.
Yeah, and you're going to have both situations. You play enough pool, these guys play all the tournaments. You know, it's kind of like, you know, some tournaments in America, we used to play double elimination all the way through. And, you know, then they went to single elimination in the final. Sometimes you come from the winner's side, sometimes the one-loss side. It just depends. Same thing with the schedule.
Yeah, I think it's definitely right for these televised events to have both semi-finals back-to-back, because otherwise there'll be one of them that we won't be able to see. So a wonderful day in Hillside. We've already had a memorable match. Didn't look like it was going to be. Joshua Fillon was running away with it really, but Copenhagen, the defending champion, clung on, battling to keep hold of his title before bowing out eliminated in the end.
Jason Shaw to break. The
Wonderful
match is
second
tied.
semi-final to look forward to here. And the race to 13 final ties.
Definitely always drama with the cue ball on the break, playing the cut break from the box, and using it as lines on the spot these days. Very difficult to make other balls, at least predicting other balls. So they play the cut on the one, trying to make the one on the side. Now Jason's very unique towards the rest of the players, where he'll have success from a breaking spot, but if he sees the rack, and what I mean by that is sometimes the rack can be a hair tilted, not on purpose of course, but it's hard to be exactly perfect. He feels like he has a little knowledge to that, and he'll change sides quickly. Now this is a treacherous rollout. Anytime you have a huge grouping like this and a ball that you're playing is near it, the push out becomes difficult because the safety becomes so easy in return. Now a little teaser here against the guy that jumps the ball better than anyone in the world. Does he have a piece of this? If he has a piece of this. This is a mistake. Yeah, he can cross this ball over using that wall of balls as he sends the cue ball up table. Now this is of course, a little thought into it, but instinct when you're trying to really control the object ball speed, especially a little ways away from it. For the bank, and I don't blame him. I didn't realize that was available. Playing a bit of a two-way. And I really think Jason was trying to push out to a kick there, not give up a piece of the blue too.
Extension call.
Talking about Gorst as being the best jumper in the world, but I was thinking about it last night. You know, these top 10 guys, that's what we have here at the World Bowl Masters. We really haven't seen a ton of jump shots in comparison to what we see at times.
Really pointed out, actually. It's definitely true.
Well, what happens is, you know, good effort there, holding the cue ball, that's about all he could do to take his chances where the blue two's going. The difference is, these are the best in the world, top 14, plus a couple incredible wild cards, but they recognize when the kick shot has more value than the jump shot. You know, even down the road a little piece with the players, some of them fear not hitting the ball, and so they'll go to the air a little quicker than others. All right, he missed a shot in his first match, very similar. Maybe the ball he's missed the worst the entire week, going into that right middle, coming off the back route. And he missed it wide, just like that. It was actually didn't even catch the point. So now his first open mistake from Fedor Gorst.
Jason Shaw started this tournament in fine style. A bit opposite of last year when he lost his first match 9-1. This year, he won by that score, and that was after losing the first rack for Lucius Yap. Totally different, of course, last night, as discussed in his 10-8 win over Shenban Bowling. He never led that match
Marcador 12-0.
until a monumental fluke in rack 17 took him to the hill at 9-8.
Boys said he's known Jason since he was 10 years old. I tell you, I would like to see Jason as a kid. I think it would have been a fun day, 24/7, really.
Didn't have that American twang in his accent back then. It was all Glasgow, I'm sure.
I believe it, but just kind of feel like he's one of those players that when the career's done, there's going to be a big story about his life. And, you know, it may start at 10 years old in the ballroom.
Jason Shaw didn't get to the table in the opening rack. And handed two very good chances to clear up and win in both of the next two. And he's going to get those shots. The Shaw leads for the first time. 2-1. Stages of this World Masters semi-final, and one of the big parts of the success story in Hildesheim this week has been the way the German people have turned out. The crowds have grown and grown, and look at this for the final day. And there are a lot more people than this in the venue, actually. Some of them are just out having a bit of lunch after that long first semi-final. You can see the balcony season above, that's added to the atmosphere. You saw there the banners all around the arena, and the lights turning red on players as they get knocked out. Plus 3 of them are still lit in the original colour.
Yeah, a lot of 9-ball movement there. We'll get another look here in a moment. That's kind of a telltale sign. I don't know if that did get kissed, so I wouldn't say Jason would be upset with the hit on the rack there. It looked pretty good. Sometimes the other one catches the knuckle on the side pocket. Try to find a route off the yellow one to get to the blue two. This is where the slick table, you can't really just check the ball would spin off the rail and really kind of command it how you want. Combination of speed, spin. So it looks to be a bit more thin on the one than maybe it appears. So you can't just simply draw the ball or hold it. Maybe it has to go around, what is it, the 6, 8, 9 up the table.
Talked a lot about the controversy, as it were, between these two over Gorst's defection to your American team, JJ, for the Mosconi Cup. Obviously, overall, Shaw had the last laugh in that with Europe winning for the 4th time in a row. On a personal level, though, it was arguably Gorst because he teamed up with Skylar Woodward to face Shaw in FSR in the doubles on the Friday night. Together with his great pal Skylar, Gorst got the win.
And now he's thinking about things a little further in this rack. There's the purple 5 to the green 6, the 8, 9, a little jammed up. Take his eye off the prize here with the red 3, but definitely some work. Good thing for course later in the rack with that 8-9, the brown 7's near. So I don't figure he'll try to open these. Probably play off the brown 7 to the short side of the black 8. I'm gonna stun one rail, kind of between the green 6 and the brown 7. becomes pretty important. You want to gain an angle on the brown 7. You can't handle straight in. The hard part about it is, of course, you want an angle, but you don't want too much. Could come 2 rails around this, 1 rail straight up the table. Little preference, he's going around it. That's got to go a little bit to make things easy, or let's say a little more controllable. Okay, so he feels he's close enough to the brown 7, even with this extreme angle, that he can draw over and hold. This type of shot, easy to let up on the stroke and actually miss this ball. And in return, lose the cue ball as well.
And of course the opportunity. And this was far from straightforward. It's been very impressive stuff. What is now done. So we'll have it again. Thanks some more. 24 till next month, Jeremy, and he's already accomplished so much. Most notably becoming world champion as a teenager. But I just feel, of course, he's barely even got started yet, and he's got a really long career with so many highs ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with his mindset, always looking to improve. You know, I spent some time with him, and speaking of time with him, he wants time away from some of the tournaments to start making little mild changes or improvements. But he's aware of some things, and that's why the career is going to last a long time, because he stays in good shape, no bad habits, and just a great competitor.
Yeah, he's moved across the Atlantic, which is obviously difficult, but I guess it must help a lot that he has a very settled life with a long-term partner. Christina Tkach is a very good player herself, and we all know Christina is absolutely lovely, and all of that has got to help when you move to the other side of the world. They have a very settled life.
Yeah, and you know, hats off to the fans in America. They go, welcome him with open arms, and as they should. And he's just a great guy. And you know, a lot of people think about that.
As it goes to break, the match is tied 2 laps each.
And excuse me, letting Julian do his job, but a lot of people think about that change to America to the American side was about 2023, and for Freddie Gorst, it was about his future. And you know, 2023 is just happened to be where it started. Get a little pump off the pink here into a perfect angle on the red 3. This is kind of what he plans on doing, is breaking and running some racks to get some separation in the match.
I think you've got to get him into baseball, Jeremy, just to really complete his transition to being a proper American.
Well, I think we already talked about that at the Derby, because you know, he stays with the Sword Brothers on, of course, going to find his own place in America. It may stay in Indiana, we'll see. But they were out, I think, throwing the baseball not long ago before the Derby. To the Mavs game. He was a big fan. The team went to a Mavs game there in Dallas prior to our trip to London last year, and had a lot of fun with that as well. So he's a sporting kind of guy. Started off originally, I think, with tennis. Like he asked about his life and his career, and he started, I think, 4 or 9 years old. But I think his interest, and maybe, of course, influence from his family, always wanted to be in some type of sports, and I think he's found the right one. Okay, he doesn't want to flirt trying to get on what would say the proper side of the G6, which would be up table. He's got a pretty heavy angle here, and doesn't want to entertain scratching in that left middle. Now the problem with staying behind this, which is normally not too much of an issue, you would just travel the cue ball a bit further, is the black 8 up the table. That could be impeding that route. Could go back and forth, playing the 6 in one of the corner pockets. We'll see. game, almost all the players had a little pause at the cue ball prior to the final swing, and he had one there, but it wasn't as normal where he settles it a bit longer. And of course, that wasn't an easy shot, especially with the cue ball in mind.
Extension called.
Probably rack 5. Looks like a lot's already happened in this match.
Yeah, well, both players have showed us they're ready. Now 2 missed balls for Federer course. Neither easy, but they playing the bank. You get on the slick table, it's just a hair of left spin. You get a little more deflection on the cue ball, and a rare miss on, I would say, that type of shot for Eagle Eye.
It's the classic situation. One good pot with positional shot, and it should be rack over. Under a bit of pressure there, didn't have an extension left to use. Played it to perfection nonetheless.
Ahí con 2 bebés, ahí, mira.
Well, against someone who plays such an efficient game as Federer Gorst, you might get off the hook once in a rack. You'll very rarely get that a second time. So Jason Shaw had his chance to turn that around. As he had this, Federer Gorst got back in, and he leads for the first time since the end of the opening rack. It's 3-2. Let's have a look at Shaw's miss, and it wasn't easy, Jane.
No, but I mean, of course, you could see how thick the hit was, and the concern to me is, you know, it wasn't that hard of a shot. You did have to draw the cue ball, but at that angle on the 6, you can use a little of the side rail to pocket the ball and help the cue ball movement, and he missed the mark by a piece.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, the pot was straightforward, but there was work to do with the cue ball. Anyway, Gorst back in front now at 3-2. That break and run that you see on the screen there, playing in the very first rack. Is this the equivalent of a golfer missing a putt and looking to see the imaginary spike mark on the line? Is Shaw looking at that, almost convincing himself that it was something wrong with his Q-tip that caused him to miss that?
I couldn't tell you for sure, but yeah, I mean, there are things that are similar in pool for sure, and you know, some players just kind of have a routine with working on their tip, maybe once or twice a match, sometimes right before the match. I was always a guy that kind of did it right before.
Leading by 3 racks to 2.
I feel like there's going to be a little punishment after that missed 6 ball in rack number 6. And the difference in why he runs so many racks is not about just consistently making the one, but you'll notice he gets such good spreads. The timing of the break itself, I mean, you can see he's not hooked on a single ball on the table, right? There's not 2 in front of each other. You know, no matter where that lowest ball was, he has a look, and that's huge because you're the first to get control. Wants to attack here. They play the cue ball behind the 9 instead. me to pass on this, trying to cut this in. Of course, there is some traffic to try and get on the red 3. But when you're so close, you gotta feel like you're gonna be accurate. And the difference is when you're close to the ball like this, you can really manage the heavy angle. What I mean is you can really slow the cue ball down to where he can play 2 rails and not really even go as far as the green 6 or the black 8, trying to kill the cue ball.
Oye.
Now, I don't know. I'd have to be really convinced of this swerve shot because kicking behind the pink, I believe Jason's a favorite to pocket the 2.
Extension call.
I understand this very well, and you get a good feel, and you feel like you're favored this way as well.
So just again, a bit of a let off for Gorst. Chance to start dishing out that punishment you were talking about, Jay.
And he wasn't trying to get the snooker. I don't believe so, and he ran shooting a blue 2 just in case he missed, but I think that was a little of the punishment. This is just a little added sprinkles on the ice cream, you might say.
Sige na. Wait, tapos na.
Yeah, and he missed the part of the pocket there. Got a little off angle here on the 7, kind of from nowhere. I think probably feels a little fortunate that 6 went in. It didn't look like it wobbled or anything, but he went way to the right side of the pocket. Now he's got to show us one, not only with the 7 in the left middle, but with the cue ball getting back for the 8. I always thought, yeah, okay, he was trying to get to the left. Thought that was the place you had to go, a little short side on the black 8. He'll take on the cut. Cue ball will have some speed.
He's left himself a couple shots in a row there, a bit more testing than would have been expected. But a simple 9. And for the first time, there's more as a one-lap unit. Horse has won 3 in a row, and he leads Jason Shaw in his semi-final. Real soon.
de descuento en muebles, sábanas, cubrecamas, edredones y frazadas, solo en Falabella y falabella.com. Hagas lo que hagas, hazlo con una web. Presentamos el creador de sitios web de Costinger, un creador veloz y fácil optimizado para el éxito online. Elige una plantilla, luego solo arrastra y suelta lo que necesites donde lo necesites. ¿Quieres vender online? El creador de sitios web tiene una gama de funciones e-commerce con 0 comisiones. Empieza a ganar dinero inmediatamente. ¿Necesitas ayuda para destacar? visual para tu web con el creador de logos con inteligencia artificial.
Jason Shaw led this World Masters semi-final 2-1. He's had chances since then.
Black
Better
7,
Gorst
red August,
picked them off a bit.
Speedy
Now
4
three in a row.
outs to 2.
He's gone too clear. 11 is the target for a place in the final tonight against Germany's own Joshua Filler.
Being very consistent with the one on the side. Little movement on the 9. I think he does have a piece of the 2. I don't think makeable. Some bad decisions. How's the safety? Don't really see anything that's great, like a secured snooker, with a little execution. I think it would be something like, trying to put the 2 off the right side rail to the top rail, coming 2 rails, maybe to the middle diamond, a little right of it on the bottom cushion. He should have a lot of speed. Is he trying to get behind the 6? Maybe it's going to help a bit. And he was a little thin on the blue 2, so a lot of speed was all about making sure the blue 2 didn't linger over that top right corner. They kick behind this here, but the problem is the pink's kind of in the way to where it may kick behind it and the blue 2 go into the pink. Tough little situation with the red 3 and the green 6 on the lower right side of the table, so a lot going on this rack. An important one, I think. Pretty smart shot. That was totally by design. Trying to flip the ball and run the cue ball near the 3.
We're talking about Gorst's defeat to Jason Shaw in the quarterfinals at Hanoi. It's a regular occurrence going out of the open events at the quarterfinal stage last year. And at that point in the European Open to Joshua Filler. And the Spanish Open was a bit of a surprise, losing to Peter Brutus. Of course, went one rack of a place in the final.
Foul shots. Volleys.
I was going to say that, the shot kind of exhibits why he's the best. Trying to fly and land on the 2. Maybe a little let up there, and it's easy to do, especially you're always worried about maybe flying the ball off the table and those types of shots, but it was a tall task even for Federgorst. Surprised he's not shooting the 2 on the other side and rolling forward in a position. A lot of times your touch, your peripheral vision, everything going forward with the cue ball with ball in hand. Usually your percentage play. Doesn't want to fall straight on the paint coming across. Much better stroke here than the UI.
Young man you saw on your screen a moment ago, Julian Roper from Sheffield. He's a regular on the outside tables at matchroom events over the last couple of years. This is his first chance to get out there into the television arena. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone enjoy an opportunity as much as he has. And he's done first-class job all week. Really, at the moment, it's a story of them both just picking off the chances they're being left by each other to make something happen. After losing all the last 3, he's back to only 1 behind at 4-3. for whoever wins it to regroup ahead of the final, but I think of some of the smaller events, JJ, when they just play hours on ends, that really won't bother them at all, will it?
No, not at all. I mean, you grow up playing pool or you know, further your game going to tournaments to where, you know, you're going to have a day where if you're going to stay in the tournament, you're going to play 4, 5, 6 matches. The Derby City Classic, which starts off the year, it's a grind. So players today start to stay in great shape as a whole, and you know, all those types of situations just make you a little more, you know, headstrong.
Yeah, Gorst won the Derby City Classic last year as a ranking event, beat Shane O'Boney in the final, and also won the Turning Stone in September. That was against Mika Imran. 2 events I think you'd probably group together as well-known American tournaments that have been around for some time. They now have world ranking points. So did the Perry Open in Hanoi in October.
Jason short break, trying by 4 acts to 3.
Immediately before the Hanoi Open itself. He won the Perry Open as well, so 3 ranking titles for Gorst in 23.
Yeah, what a great event that Perry Open was. It was kind of labeled a warm-up for the Hanoi Open, which is some of the classic last year's new events. But tell you what, that Perry Open had a nice $110,000 purse, I think it was, a beautiful pool room there in Hanoi. Everyone treated like first class. So, interesting, does he try to bump the tee? Does he play for the combination, which isn't that tough? Does he play short side? Baker killed the cue off the red 3 in the side. Maybe killed it a bit too much, we'll see.
Position. He's recovered the situation to perfection, and this looks like being pretty much the shortest strike of the match so far.
Jason, when he swings the bull cue, I feel like he would have been really good at any sport he played, or desired to play.
He likes to play a lot of golf, but he was told to cut back on that because of the back problems he's been having. As a result of that, he's been spending a lot more time swimming, and he's been so much the better for it.
A little off here. It's kind of, I wouldn't say a heavy stun, but one who's got to get into a bit, coming 2 rails. I like this bit of extra time, why not use it?
Jason Shaw is first place in the run of the match. He's won 2 in a row. He's level 4 over Fiona Gorst. You're just looking at that Perry Open we were talking about. The last 2 matches that Gorst played, Jeremy, to win it were against Anton Raga and Marco Feliciano. And those 2 players are right at the top of the category. Guys who really made breakthroughs in the World 9 Ball Tour in 23. And it's going to be fascinating to see how much we see of those players moving on into 24, going into the big field match events.
Yeah, especially with the news that came this week in the Reyes Cup. I mean, it's going to be a tour that's going to be very warm to get in, and you're going to see more players playing qualifiers, taking advantage of some wild card invites and training like never before.
And that's what we're talking about. There's been discussion about this for a number of years. Obviously, the Mosconi has become such a success, Europe versus the United States. But the feeling has been in recent years that it was time to get an Asian team involved in something. And this is what it's going to be. The Reyes Cup starting on the 17th of October in Manila, the Polo capital of the Philippines. Europe versus Asia.
Leading by 5 acts to 4. Time trip, the match is tied at 4 acts each.
having fun with Julian, of course. You could tell Julian was at the game of the week, but he's done a splendid job and gained all the experience. He'll be back out there again after this Whirlpool match. But yeah, shout out to, it says on there, in partnership with Puyat Sports, which has been such an influence not only in the Philippines for many decades when it comes to billiards, and of course I think bowling as well, but just so much they've done on that side of the planet when it comes to pocket billiards. Something you always like if you're new to 9-ball. You may not see it here, but unfortunately we are. There's a part of the game called the push-out, and it's only after the break. The breaker, if he makes a ball or incoming player off a dry break, it's only one option after the break to call a push-out. And they can roll the cue ball anywhere they want, and then the incoming player has the option to take the shot or pass it back.
Push-out call.
You're not totally new to 9-ball, but I think you're realizing more and more how important this push-out is, and it seems to come up at the most crucial times.
Please, Jason.
Not really seen a whole lot of them in love with the push-out. Of course, that's what you want when you do push-out. You want to push out difficult, have a chance to get it back, and then hopefully execute. Could go for the bank, I guess. Maybe a two-way there, which is what you normally want. It's all about having good speed and touch here. Near that spot, and that's exactly what he wants here.
My big hope for the Rangers Cup is that the German player who's in the final tonight is on the European team and wins a close match. I might get to see Stephen Windsor in Manila.
Oh yeah, that's it. Billy Gates doesn't beat you to it, but he's probably thinking the same thing. But yeah, it's going to be something special come October. I don't think there is no venue that's too big. I think you're going to find a lot of Americans that want to come, even though there's not an American team that want us to be there for that first Rios Cup, and of course all of Asia will. Considering he'll take that, and how good is he with the jump cue, and how confident is he to be able to go at that ball, just having a portion. Any miss hit, he may whiff the two or go right into the brown 7. Pretty a shot and pull to me. Putting the ball in right past the side.
The Shaw was so good at it. It was always likely to wriggle in, and it has.
Yeah, I think that pocket in particular, we've seen the scratch from SVB, the 4-ball that I believe it was SVB that got down against. That's right, and just that sometimes one pocket plays a little more generous than others. Definitely think it's been a little right this week. But Shaw's defense, he made such an incredible shot. I think he deserved a little easier on the red 3.
There was so much anticipation of this semi-final. I wouldn't say it's entirely taken flight yet. It's been thrilling stuff. Certainly an eventful first 9 race. And then a one-stage trail, 4-2. Jason Shaw has reached 3 in a row. He's staying four. Jason Shaw back into the lead at 5-4 and plenty of highlights in that ninth rack, JJ.
Yeah, real clean one there in the blues too. And you said he loves that shot. You almost get up for that shot. Here, caught a little rail, but considering elevator with a pink, he hit it with a nice speed, which does open up the pocket. So a couple good ones there to start after a pretty entertaining rack, and now his lead in the match.
He was ahead at 2-1 and then lost 3 in a row, and now he's responded with 3 on the banks himself.
Rack 10, Jason Shaw to break, leading by 5 racks to 4.
Julian predicted the future in the last rack.
He knew something we didn't.
Always interesting to me, and I'll talk about it after the break shot. Shaw's technique and his hardware. Uh-oh. The thing to me, of course, anytime we know play with the extension, you can't avoid, you're going to add weight no matter. Some play with a heavier extension than others, but what I'm getting at is Shaw's one of the most compact players technique-wise there is. To have so much weight and so far behind and away from the backhand, you almost feel like it would bring the tip up at some time, but he sure likes it and sure manages it really well. I think he's got enough angle to play this, get back up on maybe a kiss shot on 3 onto the purple 5.
Yeah.
This is a prime opportunity to kind of extend this lead. You know, he's not going to get a ton of movement on the cue ball here unless he really draws it or puts a lot of speed on it, which I doubt he does. 3, I don't know exactly where it's going. Maybe it comes across. Maybe he can kiss the cue ball a little bit, so go crazy with it, but he definitely wants to continue the run after the kiss shot. And this is what I was wondering, is he going to get anything? Just trying to play the off the pink. I could have played that lighter and just considered maybe a safety, but he's trying to keep the ghost better Gorst in his chair.
Spike needs to launch his bold new delivery business online without costs going sky high. He'll need this and Namecheap because he wants it a name that'll really take off. The perfect and reliable web hosting, security and privacy features that'll stop anything, plus extra services and tools and 24/7 customer support. All at low prices, so the savings keep stacking up. That way, his business can really fly. Namecheap, make more online for less.
Checking is, does he have to go over a piece of the 9 as well? Obvious snookered on the green 6. Now we talk about him being the best jumper in the world. He's absolutely also one of the best bankers. I wonder if we're going to see both here on this shot to the upper left.
Yeah.
He's looking to cut this ball. So maybe that helps him not have to entertain, you know, going over the 9 as well, trying to cut the 3 in. Sure. Man, this is triple tough. nice shot here, but even considering that's a bit more what I was talking about earlier in the week with players, and of course the 14 ranked players here and 2 wild cards. You know, some get in situations, Michael, and they play not to lose. Others play to win. And you could certainly see it there. Got a little thick. Is it going to have enough speed? Yes, it is.
Could that pot on the 3 be the moment that turns the momentum back in Gorst's direction? Needed something to happen. 4-2 up and see himself overtaken.
Could come above this black 8, but I feel he'll stay below it. The 9 pretty playable in the left middle.
No.
So it's been a fine effort this. Started in spectacular fashion. Finishes with 9 in the sides, 11 things up again. And final piece. Talking about those quarter-final defeats he had in all those open events in 2023. Did get past his quarter-final of the US Open against Robbie Capito. Then beat Alexa Pichels in the semi-final. 3 up in the final against Ko Ping Chung before he lost all of the next 10 racks. And that was that. Ko was the US Open champion instead. Now he's been world champion in the past, has Gorst. That was before it became a matchroom event, and he's so keen to get back to that kind of level, win one of these really big, major standout titles. Is there something you feel he needs to do differently to make that happen, Jeremy? Or is it a case that he's more than good enough and playing well enough to do it, just needs to be patient and wait for it to be his week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think keeping the pressure off yourself, understanding it's a season, it's a career, and you know, you put in the time, you put in the effort, it's gonna come. It's just sometimes it takes a little while, it takes a little longer than others, and I wouldn't say it's gonna take it longer for him, but overall, you know, he's in a good place, and we all know that more titles are coming.
He talked about how he was playing the game at such a young age. He won his first big tournament in Italy when he was only 18.
Black
And
11.
of course, was world champion the next year.
The match is tied at 5 racks each.
Big Chang Yun Lin in the close final.
Yeah, junior world champion just 2 years prior to that world title. But you don't get down and break the balls like that, you know, and you'll notice he doesn't take a long time down. Kind of course, like all the greats, mainly with the stance itself. But my point is how much time he's put in on this break shot. You know, he talked about in his interview last night, broke the balls great. Still wanted to go put in more time on the break and make it, you know, even more confident in his mind. But here he's got a good chance now. Not an easy blue two, one you take your eye off of, but a good chance to get back in the lead.
We were saying earlier, he's made a very good life for himself in the US. And he's also made us a lot of money over the last few years. Up to $250,000 in prize money in 2023. He'd also done that the year before. A similar year in 24 was, I think, his career total over $1 million. And what's been a relatively short career, and it was interrupted by COVID and various travel issues.
And all those same events and more events coming, but they're all going up in prize money as a whole, so bright future, but you know, like all the guys, they like to compete. They like to hold the titles, they like to know that they were the best player that week, and you know, 23, you only have it once. So you make the most of it and then move on to 24 and so on. I think a thing that's been pretty conscious for him is to learn how to play at a hair faster pace as well, which is only going to bode well with all the events with the shot clock, and of course, shot clock implemented on the business side of things here at the end of the tournament.
And that's where he comes out. Since the opening match, there's no one there. The Wars leads again at 6-5. He's a touch embarrassed about that.
Yeah, turned to Jason with a bit of a smile and wanted to come tight because he didn't want to get long on the round 7. Came a little tight, but it worked out.
So Wars back into the lead and now past the halfway point in his quest to reach 11. Mentioned earlier, Shaw runs a pool room in Connecticut in the US. Many of the top players spent a long week there. Quite recently playing the Premier League. It was disappointing for Shaw. He only finished in 12th place, but I spoke to him about it the other day and he said he'd be happy to host the event again and he'd be much more hands off this time. He felt it was just way too much for him to do, getting it all set up and staying on top of things to actually be seriously competitive in it. Of course, made it through to the 6-man final day. Didn't make the semi-finals though, missed out by 1 place, finishing 5th. They played an awful lot of good pool.
12.
Won a lot of matches, even to do that well.
Stretch to 5.
Under the Premier League format. 6-5 to Gorst.
Roy's got the 1 and the cue ball on the screen. It's going to open up for another nice shot on the blue too. And just kind of really, I don't know if expects is the right word, but really figures to run some racks during every match.
You saw that the thing were running over the diamond-shaped racking device. And over twice there, while it was still on the table. People might look at that and say, how does it not throw the cue ball a little bit up in the air? But if anyone's ever held one of those devices in your hand, it's almost like it's not even there. It's an amazing invention.
6-5 amigos, hasta las 8 es.
And it's funny, there's a player from years ago that David Smith from Virginia, which was a
6-5 amigos,
pretty
hasta
good
las 8.
player and played on the pro tour. And he actually came up with the idea that I think it was 1996 he first showed me, and of course he went on to get a different career outside of pool, but wasn't but probably another 10 or 15 years later that the template was really starting to be a big impact in pool. And they've just refined it and made it better and better.
It's impossibly thin. You can't believe you can manufacture something so thin, which it has to be of any use at all for that purpose.
Yeah, and especially because you know, it's hopping out of that template, more of a running kind of action, and the better the break is, actually get more of that running action, which is what Frederick Gorst gets a lot. That's why he puts a lot of breaking runs together. You got to go into the 7 a little inside spin. When you're going into a ball, ease the tip off the object ball. I don't see that here, but we're all human.
El éxito de tu negocio está en tus manos. Y tus envíos también. Con InDrive entregas, pon el precio, elige vehículo, envía hasta 3 pedidos con un repartidor y escógelo según su calificación. InDrive entrega, envíos y vida de tu negocio.
As Gorst has just shown on that green 6.
Yeah, I'd have to see it again at full speed, but it looked like he let up on the swing. And what happens when you let up, that's when you can miss-hit the cue ball a little bit, creating maybe a little bit of a kick on the green 6 as well. Combination of both has let Shaw back in it.
That's as close as Gorst ever comes, so he's furious with himself. Looks as though Gorst was going too clear again. He didn't. That's very nice. Let Shaw back in. And the level was more. That's 6 all. It looked as though Gorst was going too clear again, and then he missed this green 6. As a result, Jason Shaw was back at the table and completed the formalities of rack 12. So 6 all, they both need 5 more to claim a place in the final, where the home favourite Joshua Filler awaits.
Jason Shaw to break. The match is tied, 6 racks each.
And he's going to be thin here on the blue too, but that won't slow him down. But he can reach this pretty easily, I think. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. As the match goes, Jason really tunes in on the break and maybe his best gear. The purple 5, that's the one on the bottom rail, really kind of intruding on the path of the cue ball. I think he's still got to go here. Watch out, a little thin hit. Trying to avoid the purple could cause a scratch. Pretty nice shot, but a big tester coming here on the red 3. Not much angle, because this is a ton of power, but have the accuracy with it.
Wow. Have you ever seen a shot like that?
It reminds me of the one last night on the fluke on the 9. Missed the pocket, but ball just quickly 2 rails in the opposite corner.
Having a lot more distance though, didn't it?
Yeah, and you know, Borch is going to look at that as far as like, hey, I made a big mistake on the green 6 in the last round. But the punishment I get from here is a little bit on me. But you can see, just like last night, though, when he really needs the power, it's like he's almost overamped a bit.
So rack number 13. Definitely did not prove unlucky for Shaw there. We should see that lead for the first time since 5-4, but how about it's that 6 again for the second rack in a row. It's provided a real turning point.
Yeah, we all know that Jason's not a slow player, but I was looking at the shot clock. He was in position at about 26 on the shot clock. I'd love to see him just take that hair extra time, which to me was a very scary thing I saw at the Moscone. His opponent with Team USA, so really had it all down pat. Now does he let the cue ball go some 3 rails off the left side rail in? It's chalk coming underneath the 9. Does he float this? I doubt it. This is a little in between.
Shaw is seeing himself. And it's turned into one of those matches now that whoever loses, one or two things to regret at the end.
We always talk about it, you got to kind of ease the mind after a mistake. You have to ease the mind after a big shot. You have to ease the mind after a big fluke sometimes as well.
Bueno, 3 allá.
So for the second rack in a row, last 6 ball has turned things on their head. This time it's Bruce who capitalizes. He leads once again at 7-6. Consider he was 5-4 down in that main score, so now 1-3 off the last 4 racks. And that's some thoughts as to why Gorst missed his 6. What about Shaw's?
Yeah, I didn't really see much. Sometimes what you do is you get a little bit of the miss in your mind, and the common miss there is hitting it thick, right? So you kind of say to yourself, well, I want to make sure I don't hit it thick, and quite possibly you caught it a little thin.
So for the Gorst leading 7-6, 11 required. Joshua Filler awaits in the final, looking to become the first player in 12 years to win the World Masters in his home country. It's like Shaw's almost trying to make himself see the funny side or laugh about it, but that contains rage. Of course, all the rest of that himself, he had such a good chance there. So Gorst back into the lead, needing 4 more.
There, I think the cue ball was going to get lost, and it would have been on him. There were no kisses on the cue ball, except for the fortunate one. It was going to follow the one right in the side. So I really think a huge 2 games for both players before the ad break to maybe clear their mind towards the end of this match, and maybe a little bit more for Eagle Eye than Federer at the moment, trailing by 1. And this shows you how good he is with the jump cue. Has the push-out option, has a small piece of the 2, I think, to maybe produce a safety, but going to take his chances. Plus, he knows he's moving the cue ball all the way around the table, so we would consider a backdoor safety of, something you really, what's the right way to say it, that you can really plan for, but percentages say the cue ball will be going up near the red 3. So much. They actually kind of killed the cue ball with the draw. See the backspin. He's going to keep the short cue in his hand if he can reach it. And that's 2 he's kind of let up on here. One early that was triple tough. Thought that would look like a hanger after the blue 2 he just knocked in.
We start the clock.
He didn't just graze the 8 on the way over, he thumped into it. And again, it looks like another rack that's... See, one player clean up after the bad shot or mishap to the other.
And I'm going to keep it simple here, and could make both of these, so it'll be a mount draw stroke to hold for the green 6, just in case the purple 5 follows in. Uh-oh, this is going to come up the rail. Missed that by some piece. When there used to be a thing back in the day, the great players used to tell me that, there's one thing in aiming, think that ain't. And that's just making sure when your hands are really hitting that purple flag where you want. And when you have a combination on a ball hanging, it's easy to be, for lack of a better word, a little lazy in that regard. Should be a 2-rail safety behind the 9, chipping on the left side of the purple. And if this has got to have good speed, it's going to come open. Right on the fence, probably. He's going to go offense from the bank to the lower left, or super thin cut from distance. It's going to be the cut shot. This cue ball on the slick table is going to be possibly coming near the right middle, I think.
Cuando estoy de viaje, me gusta comprar en comercios locales. Con Visa Infinito puedo comprar en millones de lugares de todo el mundo y dejar que mi curiosidad me lleve lejos. Visa Infinito, no es infinito, descubre tu
To draw level again. It's only been more than 1 minute, one stage, and it was 4-2 Gorst.
It's been some great pull times, but definitely riddled with some mistakes.
And we're level yet again. It was 5-all and 6-all. And the level was 7 laps each. It's impossible to pick a winner here. It's been really throughout. Let's look at the numbers, JJ.
Yeah, you can see pretty close on balls potted. We'll see balls missed though. That's the one 5 from Gorst, which is a big number for him. 3, of course, for Jason. Like I said, it's just been a match of a little ups and downs. Not a whole lot of safety played, right? It's been some doable runs that maybe some errors involved, leaving a return run. But this last little race to 4, if you will, that's going to really show us who gets to that final.
Always the possibility that someone could put a spurt on and finish it out in style, but it doesn't feel like that at the moment. It feels more like the sort of match where one of them's going to fall over the line.
And if you're watching this match, which so many are, that's a good look at Jason trying to regain that focus. But you may think, what kind of chance the way they're playing against Billar in the final, but
Jason short to break. The match is tied, 7 racks each.
things can change like the wind. 9-ball pool. Well, it's to be a dry break. One's gonna, I wouldn't say dress up, but definitely playable. I think both players can't wait for that next little break, maybe to clear their mind to finish this match. And alluding to what I was talking about a moment ago, you know, finishing this match in style, whichever player it is, if it does happen, can really help going into that final. Now, he was looking at coming at the red 3, maybe to open the 3. I thought it passed the pink. And I also thought he would take on the 1 and try and go up and down between the brown 7 and 9. The little side spin makes this a bit tougher. And that was the other part of it. Unless he caught the red 3 dead flush, whether it be rail first from the backside or into it directly, The cue ball was always going to continue to travel. The momentum of the cue ball could not be stopped on that chip on the 3. So now going to what he does best. Another jump shot. Always fouled on a couple, Michael, and this 8 ball's very close, and it's not just a sliver. Got to go over probably half the ball. Good fortune. The 8 ball, I think it was, going by with the 42, so 8, 9 jammed up.
Mío no ha quebrado y ya metido. Chicos, muchas gracias por ver. Yeah.
Good come to the rail with a lot of spin. I like the jump shot here.